What's going on, everybody? Josh Callaway alongside James D. Jackson, Sooners Illustrated, and 24/7 Sports at the stadium in Norman, where Oklahoma is 3-0. They knock off Tulane on Saturday afternoon, 34-19. James, all the attention was going to be on the offense in this game. We talked about it all week long, probably the longest week after a win that OU fans and the team has ever had. That nail-biter against Houston. A lot better today. I mean, there was, it's going to be weird, and we're going to talk about it. The end result, I think you would have taken 10 times out of 10 going in. 34 points. They ran the ball well. Jackson Arnold certainly seemed to be a lot more decisive, had one really big mistake, but overall played, I thought, quite well in this game. But when you watch the game, the nuance to it is that it was a really good first half, and then it just looked awful for like a quarter and a half. But then they reeled it back in, got the game-sealing touchdown late. What'd you make of the offense say? It was clearly better. Not that that's saying much because last week was what it was. But they seem to have figured some things out. Some of the play calling was a little bit better. They got some running backs out in space on some swings. And, it just felt a little more, had a bit more of a rhythm and a feng shui to it, I guess, in this game.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, the offense looked a lot better. I think they opened up the playbook a little bit more here. And I think that kind of helped out a lot because you talked about it. They opened the game with these swing passes out, to Gavin Sawchuk and things like that. And that kind of opened up the game for Jackson Arnold. And it seemed like they really wanted to get him running the ball more in this game. And you saw it. I mean, he ran for over 100 yards. I mean, that last kneel down took him back behind it. He's 97 yards net because of that kneel down. Right. But obviously he ran for over 100 yards in this game, and that helped out a lot. They talked about it. If a quarterback can run, that's a plus for the offense because it puts the defense in such a bind. And so they really wanted to do that, and they got it done today. So really shout out to them for looking at what they did last game, kind of fixing it. You saw more gap runs, things like that, not just inside zone a lot. You saw more different things with the running backs, and it helped out a lot. Javonte Barnes had a really good game, I felt like, in between the tackles and things like that. And then you had Taylor Tatum punching it in a lot of times for that OU offense. So, I mean, really good for them. Really good for what it looked like last week into this week. And, injuries are still a big thing for this offensive unit. And so it was really good for how they responded from last week.
Yeah, it's strange because it was obviously a lot better. Like we said, that the third quarter and the first, half or so of the fourth quarter, it really regressed, and it was like, okay, we're just back to where we were. After the first half was clearly a lot better, but they reeled it in. Like I said, the big touchdown run from Jackson Arnold, they got the interception from Billy Bowman. It felt just like a carbon copy of last week when Robert Spears-Jennings got the interception. But what happened in that game? Offense went 3 and out, missed the field goal. This time they punched it in and put the game away. So they kind of did the things that they've done okay a lot better. The problems are still the problems. There's no receivers on the team right now doing much outside of Deion Burks, who was really good again today. Nick Anderson warmed up, didn't play. Maybe we'll try this all again next week, for him. Bauer Sharp got in there a little bit. Like you said, they ran the ball better. Taylor Tatum, we have a different look. Offensive line, it was a lot better. And then it just kind of we got rough for a couple of quarters. I mean, the pick six, obviously, that's just a bad decision by Jackson, a big mistake. But part of that was that he was just defenders in his face immediately for a couple of drives there. But again, overall, I mean, are we sitting here saying, oh, the offense is fixed? No, we're not saying that, obviously. But it was clearly a lot better. And when you have the defense playing the way they did, and we'll get into that in a second, you're going to be able to win football games that way. So it's a step forward. Hopefully they can get some of these guys back, Nick Anderson, Branson Hickman. But, you have to be encouraged, right, that long-term, okay, there are pieces here. They're going to be able to score points. And, it's not the sky's falling like it felt like a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, the offense has some sustainability here. We talked about it. With the way the defense is playing, if the offense could just be average while you're trying to get over those injuries, and you can win some football games. I think they did a good job of that today. The offense was really different. You talked about Jackson Arnold's interception. I mean, it was just a free guy. A guy came free. There was a bust on the offensive line there. And most quarterbacks take that sack. I think Jackson Arnold made a good play of getting by that guy, but then he ultimately freaked out. Like, in the ultimate moment, he saw Deion Burks was open at the time. He said, let me just throw it. And just threw it, and the linebacker came out of nowhere, Tyler Grubbs, and, returned that. And that made it a really tight game. But as you said, they responded. You responded, and that's all you can think about. They did a lot of that last year. When it was close, a team would come in and one score of the game, and then OU would respond. So I guess they like to keep everybody stressed. I don't know what it is. Like that's pretty much what happens on this side.
And part of the pick six too was them getting caught not having another receiver because Tyler Grubbs said as much post game for Tulane that he knew as the play broke down, he's going to be looking for number 6, Deion Burks, and he just was ready for it and obviously read it perfectly. So we'll see if they get more of these guys back, specifically, obviously, Nick Anderson, maybe Angelo Anthony down the road, and things will look a little differently. But like we said, defensively, it was really good again. I mean, they were pitching a shutout for a while in this game. It got weird for a while. Tulane put together about 3 drives in a row that were pretty good. They missed a field goal, and they had the 2 touchdowns, and it kind of was like, okay, what's going on here? All of a sudden, the defense can't get a stop, but they reeled it back in and were really good late. R. Mason Thomas just shut this thing down at the end, just one-man wrecking crew. Yeah. I mean, more of the same. They don't really have a lot of new ground to cover. This defense is really good. It lapsed in the middle, so you hope to kind of clean that up, put together a full 60 minutes, but the defense only giving up 2 touchdowns. You're going to win a lot of games that way. They were really good again.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can say about it. We talked about this defense and their ability to make turnovers. They were number 1 going into this game, tied for number 1 going into this game. They got 2 more. I mean, you get the interception from Billy Bowman Jr., you get the R. Mason Thomas strip sack. Yeah, I mean, the defense just really good at the end of the game. I think middle 8 is what Brent Venables talks about a lot. They lost it there. I mean, that drive before the half to come down and score is always a killer of momentum going into the next half. I mean, that's just what happened there. So, I mean, stuff like that happens, but you have your positives. You have, Danny Stutzman getting all the tackles he did. You have Billy Bowman getting his interceptions. You have certain things that they were able to do. So, I mean, can't really complain too much about the defense right now.
And that was without Kendall Dolby. He didn't play in this game, had concussion symptoms during the week. Obviously, he's been very good in that cheetah spot, so they had to kind of plug it in from there, and so you're missing him. And again, more of the same. It's just a good, fundamentally sound defense, and obviously the tests are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. This was their biggest one so far. I think the common theme coming out of this game for me and for a lot of people is just this Oklahoma team's going to have to maybe win ugly a little bit. Yeah. And that's fine, though. Like, if you're winning, who cares how it looks? Yeah. You can win these kind of just slugfests. The offense is going to be gross sometimes, but other times, as long as you get points on the board, you're forcing turnovers, you're making plays when you need to. As long as you're winning, it's okay. And now that gets as tough as it's gotten. Obviously, the huge game next week, the one that's been sitting out there on the horizon. Tennessee's coming to town next week. It's going to be the biggest game in college football. Tennessee's been unbelievable. They're playing right now as we record this. I just checked it before we started. It was 30-0 in the first quarter. Not that Kent State's any good. They're not. But Tennessee's been a buzzsaw so far. We're going to have all week to preview this game. But I guess your thoughts right now on what Oklahoma is long-term and obviously next week. And just, I guess, where are you kind of at temperature check after whatever the heck that was last week? And now after tonight's game, where are you kind of at? So overall, your confidence level, this team can still win a lot of games and be a contender.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I said, I mean, I felt like this was going to be the guide game for me of how I thought OU season was going to go because, like I said, if they couldn't respond to what they did last week, offensively at least, I didn't think it was going to be a really good season. This kind of gives me a little bit of hope here. Okay, I think OU is going to do a better job, and OU always has the advantage, I think, in big games and games at home. They always seem to turn up for that type of environment. And so that's what you kind of hope to see if you're an OU fan. Can OU put it together against a team that looks really, really good? I mean, Tennessee looks really good. I mean,
they do. I mean, they've been as good as you could be the first few weeks.
I mean, it's incredible what they've put together. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun because
awesome.
They have a really good offense against this defense. I'm really curious to see what happens. Now, Tulane had a lot of guys running free in the secondary sometimes. So you really got to inch that down because I don't think Nico, a guy like him, is going to miss those throws that Tulane missed. There's not going to be guys dropping the ball in the backfield like Tulane did tonight. So really got to watch out for that. But overall, the defense did really well.
100%. It's going to be a lot of fun next week. It's going to be the biggest game in college football next Saturday. So there'll be a lot of eyes on Norman. It has the potential, and I think it will be probably the best home atmosphere we've had in Norman probably since Ohio State in 2016. I mean, it's going to be crazy in this place next week, and I can't wait for that. But they got it done. At the end of the day, they got it done. We came into this game. I mean, they covered the number. We all kind of picked.
Oh, wow, okay.
They covered the number. Yeah. We all kind of, came into this game saying, we all picked them to win, but we thought it'd be competitive, and it was. Yeah. I don't know how you could leave this game feeling anything but better about Oklahoma, especially relative to what happened last week. So, an encouraging game for the Sooners, and now here we go. SEC play starts next week with a big one. Tennessee comes in here. we've obviously only scratched the surface. Keep an eye out for the podcast on Monday. The two of us and Tom Green will be able to watch the game back, pull it all apart, and kind of give our full breakdown analysis of this game. And, of course, more reaction on the YouTube channel already between Brent Venables, the coordinators, players still to come. On the website, Oklahoma 24/7 Sports, full post-game coverage, obviously from James and Tom and Colin Kennedy as well. More to come there also as we continue to break this thing down and get you ready for Tennessee starting next week. That's it for now. You got something else?
Really, I want to point out Des Malone real fast.
He was good.
I'm glad he had a really good game. I don't want to leave him off because I think as a cornerback, cornerback at Oklahoma always gets scrutinized a lot. I think he played really, really well tonight. So
he clamped Mario Williams on that one down here.
That was good. I mean, he even had on the screen down here. There was a screen pass that ran right to him. He had to fight off a block and got to tackle open field, and it was a loss. I mean, really good outings from him. He almost had a interception that would have erased one of those touchdowns. So, I mean, that was really good from him. I wanted to shout him out before you signed off. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
You're good. Also, Tyler Keltner, too. I mean, he had the miss last week, and it was like, oh, no. Had 2 makes today. Also had a 50-yarder that he drilled that they got to delay a game. That can't happen. Yeah, but he did make it. So, good to see that as well. And Luke Elzinga, I'm glad we're stumbling into more things we forgot. Luke Elzinga, he is so good. I mean, what a guy. I mean, he, again, after that delay game.
That's the punter for people that don't pay attention enough. That's the punter.
The punter, he is pinning the other team deep like every time. Often. It's unbelievable. And that's going to play huge dividends down the road, especially with the way this defense is playing. Mm-hmm. When the other offense is pinned back inside their own 10, this defense just is licking their chops and they just feast. And they had it happen again. Or Mason Thomas, too. I mean, we talked about it already, but that 2 drives where he had in 6 plays, he had a strip sack, a PBU, another sack. He had 3 in this game. I haven't seen a defensive player take over a game like that. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was incredible.
This was a fun game. Oklahoma wins 34-19. Again, podcast on Monday. We'll break it down further. Oklahoma, Tennessee up next. Sooners are 3-0. That's it for now. We'll be back here next Saturday night, back under the lights for the Sooners and the Volunteers. So James E. Jackson, I'm Josh Callaway. We'll see you guys next time here on Sooners Illustrated.